Wait, let me fix my heart. Yes, yes.
Come on now.
Yes, I think I'm ready.
It's Friday night.
Yes. It's viernes. Hey. And it's Venus Day. It's Love Day.
Woo! You gotta put that freakum dress on, right? Right, Kevin? Welcome
That's how we do it.
Welcome to Own It, the Author's Corner. Sweetheart, before I say I do. My name is Marissa Bloedoorn. I am your host. I am so excited to be here tonight. It is Friday. It's date night, people. Why are you in here listening to us? You should be out there having a funky good time, ladies. You should be putting that freakum dress on. Go out there. He's been acting up. Show him what he's missing, honey. Show him what he's been missing. We're excited because tonight we have a real exciting show for you because we're going in deep. Kevin was getting a little hot and bothered back there. Wait
a minute.
First he wanted a librarian, and now, Kevin, what's going on with that?
I love a good girl, but just because she's a good girl don't mean she can't have no fire, she can't have no passion, and she can't get into her other side, because look, men like that. We want, you know how they say they want a woman in the street but a freak in the bedroom. Now, I wouldn't necessarily put it that way, but what I would say is like this. I like a woman that's got a lot of passion. I like a woman who's not afraid to let it go and do her thing. Because I wanted to bring that out of me. See, you inspire me to do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. And I want to be able to have a woman who's going to bring it. Now, at the same time, outside the bedroom, I want to be able to still have that kind of flirtiness, that kind of, that kind of thing where, how it's like when you first meet somebody that you like and you kind of have that thing for them. And you kind of flirt with each other. See, I like stuff like that. That's the way it's got to be sometimes. You got to keep it like that.
And you got to keep that alive. So I think that what happens with couples over time is that they fail to keep that alive. And I'm always doing my research, right? Y'all know I'm always doing my research. So one of the biggest challenges that couples have is communication. And I think that what happens over time with couples is once they get comfortable with each other, there's no more passion. It's like, okay, now I got you. I don't need, that's the whole premise of the song, Put the Freakum Dress On, is to say, hey, wait a minute. You've gotten a little bit too comfortable with yourself. Let me go put this sexy dress on so you remember why you chose me. And sometimes we have to do that. We can't get so caught up. I think that I'm looking at this list, and it's a list of 7. So it's communication was the first one, and then problem solving, and then money was the second thing. The third thing was struggle to overcome chores, and then conflict resolution, and then trust. Trust was pretty good. It was down at the bottom. With all of the suggestion of infidelity with men and how men have all these women, and I'm out here in the Dominican Republic. I'm sorry. Whenever I walk to the store, to the Camaro, there's a lot of men out there. We ain't got a ratio issue here. Right? So there's always this thing that says, there's always this statistic that's out there that there's so many men, so many women to one man. And I think that sometimes when we have that happening, the mindset for women is that it's going to be, you're going to have to tolerate some level of infidelity. So it's interesting that on this list of 7 that trust would be the bottom one, because I would have a trust issue if I feel like there's a possibility that you're going to step out on me. But communication is so important, and communication is at the top of this list. And communication, I think, I can be very serious about some stuff. I can be very downright. You see me I don't like mistreatment of people. I can get very serious about some stuff. But when it comes down to my lover, to my man, I want to be able to talk about some serious issues, but I want to play. I'm sorry. In this arena, I want to play. I want to tickle you. I want you to tickle me to a certain degree because I laugh.
Hey, that's it right there.
I'm ticklish too.
I am so
Bad.
Let me tell you, and that is the key. You know, it's like my oldest brother said one time that, you know, we truly never really stop being boys and girls, even though we get older. We never lose, huh?
We got Chef.
Yeah, you never lose that sense inside. Okay, we never lose this side. And the thing about it is, if you have that ability to kind of transition between what needs to be done and where you want to be in here, where you can go to that place inside of you and she can go to that place inside of her and y'all can share that place, man, I tell you, there's no place like it because it supersedes so much of the things that we suffer in life. And I've always said that what happens in a lot of times in these relationships, I think of it like a pie. When you first meet somebody, it's like I'm speaking from a man, she's like that one slice of pie that's in the pie plate. That's the best slice because that's the only slice. And you get to enjoy that slice of pie all you want. But what happens is when the relationships become something more serious, okay, now you have 2 pieces of pie in the plate. And then if you have children, now you got 3. And before you know it, the whole pie plate is filled up. So what we used to enjoy as a man was that first piece. Now I have to split her with all the rest of the pieces in the pie plate. You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of times we lose that.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I was going to say, I'm surprised they didn't have.
That's interesting that you put it. That's a very good analogy.
That was because I was going to say that too, Kevin and Marissa. And hi, Chef Latoya.
Yeah, Black.
Hey. I was going to say, I'm surprised they didn't have children on that list.
No, they didn't have children on the list. And this is actually webmd.com. So this is webmd.com. And I'm pretty sure they did a survey of however many people. And this was the priority. It's interesting that money was down the list a little bit more because in most minority relationships, the money is at the top of the list because it's a strain on the relationship and what they can do as far as activities are concerned. But communication is a major thing. And communication in multiple realms. So we're looking at challenges in the relationship, Chef Latoya. And the 7, I'll just catch you up with us and say thank you for joining us. And then not counting in robbery to jump on, honey, because that's how we do. Life happens and we're just going with the flow, right? So the top was communication. Sex was a part of it. Sex was the second one. Then it was money. See, for women, sex is really up there. Struggling home chores, conflict, and trust. Those were the 7 issues. And so I think communication and the whole intimacy thing does run hand in hand because they're the top 2 things, right? So they run hand in hand together because if you have effective communication, then the intimacy becomes easier to do. It's much, much easier. And I just think that I think that once we enter that we grown stage, we so grown, we not childish. You need to have fun in one capacity, but be responsible with your responsibilities in another capacity. But I think that we rob our love relationships of having so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And there are certain cases where it's okay to kind of compartmentalize certain things because you have to have a place for, like you say, everything has a place, everything in its place. And sometimes so much of it becomes conflated that it all becomes merged into one big, life. And we have to make time to get with each other. We have to schedule and some, stupid stuff like that because we don't take things and put them where they belong. If again, using the analogy of the pie plate, when you have that first slice of pie, if you know how to just have that, no matter what you have else going in your life, if you're able to have that, to know how to get to that, that's one of the best things. And it doesn't surprise me to know that communication and intimacy are at the top, because again, communication is the relationship. Intimacy is the relationship, because if you don't have either one of those, there is no relationship. Even if you're just having sex, there's no relationship. And that's what you really want to have. So that certainly doesn't surprise me that you have those two at the top. And it's all about separating those things from everything else. Business is business, but my life with you, or my life with you, or my life with you, that's us. That has to always be us. There has to be a barrier around that. And we have to endeavor to make sure that it's just about us. And
Right.
especially
I'm sorry.
playing is like one of the most beautiful things you can do between one another, because that's where you really come out who you are and who you open yourself up to your mate. If you have that ability to play with each other like that.
And I was going to say, Marissa, we talked about it before, and I still feel the same way. And that comes with communication, you and your mate, when you have children. There's a communication thing, because some people believe, one parent may believe, the woman may believe, well, the kids come first and we come second. And that's how that lust of you loop, that passion, it's lost, because now you're putting the kids first. And we got soccer practice, we got this and that now out of with the kids. And then, like you said, so what happens with the two parents?
Yeah.
Everything's the kids come first, and even other parent may not feel that way. No, the kids don't come first, we come first. And you allow the kids to see the love and the communication that we share, right? So I think that's an issue, that part of the communicating, making sure that you both understand. If you both feel like the kids come first, whatever works for you. But if y'all don't both feel the same way, there's going to be an issue. I feel like, and like I said, the kids, I think I said kids because, like I said, if you run around for the kids all the time, a lot of times we neglect the time to share with our mates.
So I'll share this with you. My aunt Flossie, I always looked at her in her marriage. And so with her children, her husband gave her a gift. Each child, they had 2 children. He gave her a gift that I thought that was beautiful. And then they also made time to date. They made time to date. And they also made it known to their children that they love their children, but their relationship was their top priority, because there's a hierarchy of things, right? And so whether for me as a believer and really believe in the word of God, he put man and woman. It's the man and woman that came together before the kids showed up. So why wouldn't that stay the order of things, right? And so I think that sometimes, and I'll let you, Chef, chime in. I think that sometimes we hide behind the kids, right? We don't want to be, so we use the kids as an excuse to avoid it. It also, like, the second thing is the sex. So if you are not evenly yoked together, that's why the book is called Sweetheart Before I Say I Do. You need to do some self-evaluating to know what your needs, desires are before you go into a love relationship and a committed relationship, especially a marriage. You need to know these things, because there's going to be unmet expectancies. And when unmet expectancies happen, there's resentment that takes place. And when resentment takes place, that interrupts communication. That corrupts it, it interrupts it, it corrupts it, and then it also annihilates it, right? It becomes null and void. And so that's why it's so important that, I'm not joking when I say I need a Clyde to the Bonnie. I need a ride or die, because me and him have to be rocking so hard that when it comes to our children, whether they're our children together or they're our children because we came together, that we are able to nurture them on a high level because we got it going on. And so that's why I always say I need a Clyde to my Bonnie, because we got to know how to rock and roll with this thing. I got to know that when I'm doing something, he got my back. I don't have to remind him. I don't have to tell him. He doesn't need to know what to do because he already knows what to do. Same thing works vice versa. And when you concentrate on the relationship at the top here, then everything else will fall into place underneath it. And so that's why you got to understand the hierarchy of order in the family, what its purpose is, and what the results are when you put it in proper operation. And so, Chef, I know that you just jumped on, and so I know you got some things to say.
You know, just piggybacking off of what you're saying with the kids, when it comes down to the kids, I think that's where a lot of people fall short. For some reason, I attract a lot of single dads. I think it's great that they're true, and I'm talking about truly single dads, like the mom is not in the picture, like they are really raising the kids. And I think it becomes one of those things of just really having balance, you know, and also hiding behind the kids, because it's like, you know, the kids are that safety net. Well, my kids come first. And any guy that tells me that, I respect it, and I just slowly exit and back away, because I can't compete with nobody's kids. I'm not going to try to jump into anything, trying to compete with them, trying to show you who I am. I'm not going to make you compete with my son, you know, or anything of that sort. That's where a lot of people get caught up at, especially the single dads. And like, I had to tell this one guy, like, dude, you're not doing nothing special. Now, you are rare because you don't have a whole lot of dads that are stepping up to the plate. But women been single moms for like how long? And like you stepping up to the plate. But what you're asking is unrealistic. You saying you want a woman, you want a wife, you want a good woman. You got this, but then yet, you know, every time my kids. And it's like, that don't make it make sense. That don't even make sense, because again, it's like you're putting me in a compromising position where I gotta fight and compete for the time, because it's like, okay, well, what we gonna, like, I gotta take my sons to basketball practice. Okay, cool. Well, what about the? Oh, well, we got football practice. So we got. You know what? Oh, okay, I respect it. I'm busy too, so you know, y'all do y'all thing. Y'all be the sports dad. You know, do what you do. But that whole hiding behind the kid, that is definitely a real deal when it comes down to it, and the parents, and it really is a hierarchy, because it becomes one of those things when you're loving each other, they can see that example, and therefore you can love them better.
Right.
You know, you're able to love them better. They're able to see
that those kids see
right.
the two having that relationship.
Exactly. Like, they need to see that date nights, you know, just loving on each other. It's so crazy, because I this guy that I dated, he was a pilot, right? He was from Barbados, and some of the things, you know, we really, like, for the longest, we were just friends. I'm talking about, we were really just friends for the longest, and we decided to kind of, you know, dig into it. Well, hey, let's see what's up. And it was amazing to hear how he grew up. Like, he was saying his parents have been together for 50 years and he's never seen his dad kiss his mom. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, hold on. I come from the feel like my mom, my dad is still smacking my mom on the booty when she walks by, you know, like, he still got that affection. He you know, that's his woman. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, when we would be out, we really look like two friends. And it's like, where's the, like, really no, it, like, he didn't have that concept of like what real intimacy was, because it's like, we were really looking like just two friends out and about, and it's like, what? Like, you ain't gonna hold my hand? Like, I gotta tell you to hold my hand, and you know, if I tell he'll do it, but it's like, you gotta tell. And I'm just like, wow, you know, we really started talking and just learning how he grew up, and so he was like, oh yeah, you know, my mom, we know my dad loves my mom, but you know, we've never seen that. And I'm like, well, look, I don't know how y'all did it over there, but in the States, and I was like, and in a healthy relationship, I was like, I come from love. So I seen that. And I was like, and I still see that to this day, you know, with my parents, you know, again, you know, that's this woman. It ain't no question. It ain't a doubt about it. And so that also, yeah, that intimate aspect, it definitely is crucial, right up there with that communication. You know, just having that communication, that effective communication in place.
And it's also, just before you go on, it's also very important too that when you find out that someone doesn't know something, you don't just drop it and say, well, you should know. No, part of that communication is just what you did. You teach them and introduce a new way of thinking, new behavior, public displays of affection. Is to show that the couple is disregarding of the public they're so into each other.
Right.
And that's what a public display of affection really is. And working with your partner.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah, just
remember-
because everybody grew up differently, so you're
Yeah.
gonna have to actually bring somebody and reel them in, just to kind of because that is also a crucial aspect that I realized with dating, like really knowing how people grew up, because that makes a big difference.
Mhm.
Kind of realize and see why they're the way they are, why they act the way, why they do stuff. Like it start making sense when you really start breaking down, how they grew up and stuff, and like the dynamics of that family household they came up in.
Mhm.
And
in communication, it's one, like, for instance, being an English major, one of the things you learn about writing is you never assume that the person knows.
Right.
You have to, when you write, so you make sure that you explain it like they don't know. And one of my pet peeves in the relationship that I used to be in was that I don't know if it's like she didn't really want to say what was on her mind or what, but she kind of felt like there are certain things that I should know. Like, yeah, I'm not a mind reader. And a lot of times, men are not mind readers.
Right.
A lot of times women, they put us in that position to have to be mind readers, but we're really not.
Right.
And that's why we have to be able to say what's on our mind. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not just saying just because something is true doesn't necessarily mean you have to put it in a way that's like a sledgehammer. You can do it in a way that kind of is subtle, but still communicate what is true or what you're truly feeling.
Right.
And it's funny you mentioned your Aunt Flossie. Oh boy, man, we used to have such a crush on her. You just don't know.
wow.
We did. Oh man.
I didn't realize you knew my Aunt Flossie.
They used to live right next to us.
Oh wow, that's right. Oh my God, that is
Yeah.
right.
Honey, when you said Aunt Flossie, he was like, I thought I was gonna jump in
Because I hadn't thought about it so long since she took the name out there.
No, you're talking about you want to talk about a beautiful model to watch. Even with her children, she did a technique where she read. She recorded herself reading books. So when she wasn't available to read the books to her babies, they had the audio where they just put the cassette tape in. But they still were, as infants, babies. They were still able to hear her voice, reading the book to them. So that was beautiful too. A lot of takeaways from her and her husband, Uncle Willie. There's really some beautiful takeaways, and it really set the tone and expectation that those are things that men should do. Give your wife a gift. She's getting ready to go through some serious, a traumatic change to her body, to her temperament, to her experience, and what a beautiful way to say thank you, honey, to honor her with a gift. And for men to really honor their wives, my big pet peeve among men is calling women queens, but you're not treating them like a queen. Right. So for me, me, here's my serious side. I'm very playful. Want to have a good time. I want to laugh. I want to roll on the bed. I want to play on the bed. I want to do all of that stuff. I want to hold your hand. I love all of that. But one thing I don't like is for us to throw around a term that comes with such great honor. So when you call a woman a queen, you must really, especially you gonna call me a queen, I need to look at you and really see the sincerity, that you have a real deep and complex understanding of what you just said to me. But don't say that to me, because then it falls to the ground. And I don't like wasted stuff. And so we have to, if I want to call you my king, I need you to be not perfect. I'm not looking for perfection, but I am looking for you to show up with a standard. I'm looking for you to show up with some quality. Then when you say kings and queens, then I could be like, whoa, yes. Then I move, because there's some substance behind it. But mediocrity, keep that. If you're going to say kings and queens, then let's start seeing our women treated with high levels of respect and honor. In the same way as women treat the men with high respect and honor. But as the head goes, so does the body. So men, no matter what any woman says, and I love you all women, you were here first. So as you go, we go. You want to act a fool? We gonna act a fool because you're teaching us how to act a fool. You want to show up and be honorable, then we can submit and come up under that. If you're not going to do that, that's where we have the conflict of communication. Now, WebMD, they offer some solutions, right? And we're coming to the top of our hour. I told you after this, I'm taking a nap. So they have 4 problem solving strategies, and I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to give you a glimpse of it. Make an actual appointment, which is, I mean, it's unfortunately that we have to do that because that seems like so professional and so like clinical. But it says make an appointment with each other. If you live together, put the cell phones on. And if you live together, then put the cell phones on vibrate, or I say put them on silent. Put the babies to bed. So they do mention some kids here, and let voicemail pick up all calls. So basically, set time aside to really communicate. And don't, because I noticed with, because I don't really date, I'll be honest with you, because I don't really know how to do that. But when I've done some level of dating, I know men will say, we're going to talk about that. And then they never do it. So one of the things, the second thing is, if you can't communicate without raising your voice, go to a public place. That way you self-regulate because you don't want to be embarrassed, right? So it's rarely telling you go somewhere that you don't get into screaming and hollering at each other. Set up some guidelines, set up some rules. Try not to interrupt until your partner is through speaking, or ban phrases such as you always or you never, because those are kind of absolutes. So they want you to stay away from that because that can be very offensive and it can slow someone down from speaking with you. They'll get offended and then ego sets in and their emotion sets in and it really kills the conversation. Use body language to show that you're listening. And that's critical too, because, I'll just say, if I look at you and you don't look like you're listening to me, I shut up. So listening, don't doodle, look at your watch or pick up your nails, pick at your nails, not so the other person not so that the other person knows that you're getting the message. And rephrase if you need to. For instance, say, what I hear you saying is that you feel as though you have the more chores at home, even though we're both working. If you're right, the other can confirm. If what the other person really meant was, hey, you're a slob and you create more work for me by having to pick up after you, then you can say it, but in a nicer way. So they're saying, try to rephrase, because sometimes when you're in communication, your temperament is not ready for the conversation. So you have to be one. Somebody's got to, when you're communicating, somebody's got to be bigger than the other. Somebody's got to leave the ego and the soft-heartedness or the heart on your sleeve, leave that at the door for the moment, because somebody in the conversation has to rise above, right? Until the temperament of the other person can come down to a place where you can realistically reason together, right? So somebody has to see that somebody's really upset. And you got to walk on eggshells just so that the person can come down from being upset. Doesn't mean you got to stay on the eggshells. Just be gentle enough and cooperative enough until that other partner, your partner, comes down off being upset enough so that y'all can have a good conversation. When you do that, you'll get what you came for. You'll get the compassion, you'll get the openness, and you'll get the communication back in order for the most part. And that's what WebMD recommends as far as becoming better communicators with one another. I remember hearing a long time ago, hearing the statement is, if I hear what you're saying. So I know that's been in effect for a long time. That's been a technique that's been in effect for a long time. But it's so true to kind of echo back what's said so that you can hear it. Miss BJ, you got really tickled with the nail biting.
I'm like, who does that? Well, somebody's expressing their emotions, and we're talking, they just start. I'm getting a visual, like, who does that? Just start picking their nails. Wait.
But it's a sign of I don't really care, because it says here the use of body language is so critical to show that you're listening. But the use of body language in the adverse way is to say it's like a teenager. That's you showing your childish ways. That's why. Yeah, that's why I said that it's important for somebody in the room to be bigger. If the person is that upset or bothered, someone has to be bigger. And sometimes because we're not being strategic and intentional in our relationships, we're not trying to be bigger. We're both coming in. It's like, yeah, because I'm ready to tell him. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to let her know. And you come in and you go, bam. And nothing gets resolved. It's resolved. And is that what you is that what you really want? Because case in point, who watched the confirmation hearings this week?
I watched some of it on YouTube.
She had to do a lot. That was effective communication, because she had to eat a lot of humble pie. And her responses were very, very critical in order for her to actually be confirmed, right? So what was the more important value for her? Was it to tell those men or those white men, yeah, blah, 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 blah? Or was it to get confirmed? The same application has to be done in all of our relationships. What's our ultimate goal? Is that ultimate goal to heal and build the relationship and fall in love? Dr. Shaw says, be in love, because fall means you hurt. But I love falling in love, because you fall so deep, you get so entrenched in it. But everybody has their own analogy of it. But what's the end result of your relationship with this individual? Is it to build a long-lasting, passionate, loving relationship? Or is it to get your point across at that very moment? Is it temporal or permanent? Because that's what you have to think about when you're going into this and you're ready to display any form of body language. Are you there to show it off, or are you there to say, "Babe, I love you, man, and I want to get this right"? You know, because a love relationship really is about being vulnerable. It's about, yo, you got me.
Exactly.
Your hand, baby. What you want?
That's right.
That's what it's.
Communication can be the most powerful kind of communication, because you can say a whole lot. That's why, back in the day, your mom, you always start rolling your eyes and sucking your tongue, and mom slapped you across the room because, you didn't have to say nothing, but basically you're saying something with your actions. Sometimes that goes a lot louder than even if you use words.
Right. And that smacking your teeth. Boy, boss gets smacked in the mouth. Smacking your teeth. Oh my. Ooh, you brought back some memories.
That's right. That's that old nonverbal communication is it's a bad thing sometimes, and gets you bad results.
Let me tell you something. When the passion is really there, because I remember hugging someone, and I said to him, we said 1 million words without opening our mouths. And I felt that was real for me, and it was real for him as well. And so we can begin in the love relationship to use things that are powerful and fulfilling, or we can still be Venus and Mars. And that's what this whole conversation is about. This whole conversation every Friday is about, what decision are we making? Are we making the decision to move forward in a loving relationship that can blow our minds? Or are we looking to still be in conflict? Right. Because in conflict, you're in trauma. And if you're in trauma, then you're not in good health. And if you're not in good health, it's going to take you out, right? You're bitter, you're lonely. Even if you're in a room full of people, you're still lonely as heck. Do you want to continue down that road? Or do you want to get into a place where you develop yourself? You bring a whole passionate, loving, and kind self to the relationship, so that everybody involved, you, your partner, your children, whether they're from your marriage or not, your marriage or your union or not your union, your children can benefit. And remember, I said few months back, I was like, look, you know, people that are watching, my aunt doesn't even know I know this stuff about her marriage. She has no idea I know this stuff or that I valued it as high as I did. But the people that are watching you and your love relationship, they are affected by it. They're either inspired by it or they're repelled by it. You know, what example do you want to be?
Exactly.
What example do you want to be? And you want to make sure that you're not just being an example, but you live in that for real. Not you're not making it till you make it. That's authentic. That's when it's like, yo, that's why again I say I want the Clyde to my body.
And you know, to speak off of that, when I was teaching, one thing that I learned a strategy, we learned a social contract. Are you guys familiar with a social contract? Okay, so social contract is what you put in place if you teach people how to treat you. Y'all treat each other, right? And so it's like what I would go through, and that's how I built the dynamics with my class, my son, my nieces, everybody, because I really realized, like, with all relationships, not just with teaching, just with all relationships, because again, you go through, hey, I'm gonna tell you, I like this, that, don't do this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then they come through, they tell you what they like, whatever it is. And then it's like, it sets the healthy boundaries. Because I think that's what a lot of times we kind of get out of bounds with things. And it was always had it posted up in my classroom. So it was one of those things of just keeping them on track. Because it's like, hey, didn't we say we was going to do that right there? Oh, right. My bad. I'm sorry. I do apologize. I shouldn't have did that. You know, and even on my end, you know, if it was something that I got out of line, it just kept us in line. And I know, and this one guy I met, I was telling him about it. Oh, well, that sounds like you're trying to run things. No, this isn't running things. This is teaching. Like, this is just the dynamics of how to treat each other. Like, because again, as Kevin said, like, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know, like, the way I want to be treated. You know, I know people love to say you treat people how you want to be treated. No, because the way that I want to be treated might not be the way that Marissa wants to be treated or the way BJ want to be treated. So you have to treat people the way they want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? In order to truly get that, you know, and truly get that dynamic and just to have that, like, just a dope relationship, you know, just to have like really cool dynamics and that understanding and that communication and all of those things in place.
Yeah, because it is all about boundaries. It's having the courage to speak up. Because at the end of the last, problem solving strategy, it says, you know, you may really be feeling like the person's a slob, that they ain't been cleaning up, and it gives you the opportunity to now speak up, but you gotta speak up about what you want or don't want. You got to, because people, just like you said, are only going to treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. So that's very critical as well. So we're coming to a close, and so I know we're at the end of the show, but I wanted to take the time to like really introduce. So we have Miss BJ Martin. She is the CEO and she is the executive producer of Snails with No Shells. And she also does some media work that's dealing with commercial designs and things of that nature. She's a contributing writer to the Own It magazine. This is the Own It magazine. As featured in the Author's Corner under Sweetheart Before I Say I Do is a book I published a few years ago about the love relationship. We have Kevin Long, the Male's Perspective, from the Own It magazine as well, and super excited to always have him here. He's a contributing writer for Own It. And Black Girl Tamales is in that house, and so she's our special guest tonight. I'm gonna let you guys say a little something to our audience as we close out. Any kind of closing comments you have, keep it brief, because we were supposed to be a little over, but that's okay. That's why I'm the boss, and I feel like whenever we gotta go over, we just gotta go over. So, but I do want them to hear from you, and I also really want them to hear from Black Girl Tamales, because I want them to share exactly what you do. And so, BJ, if you just share, we're going to let our guest have the last say, because she'll be able to close us out. BJ, you're up.
Okay, so you want me to comment about tonight's topic, or?
Tonight, tell them a little bit about snails with no shells.
Okay.
about that. Your platform, how they can work with you, interview with you, and the same thing with you, Kevin.
Yeah, so Snails with No Shells. It's on all digital platforms, on audio, on visual. It's on the Own It platform, and it's on my YouTube channel, Ms. BJ Martin. So we have audio and visual, Snails with No Shells. And right now, the topic is you. The topic is you, Chef Latoya. It's about you and your business. I'm promoting people and their businesses, entrepreneurs. We have a lot of entrepreneurs who are closet entrepreneurs, and it's time to come out. You got your own neighbor don't even know that you making tamales, or that you writing books, or that you are an Amazon bestseller. Your own neighbor doesn't even know what you're doing. So I use my platform to spotlight you and your business. So that's what I'm doing right now with Snails with No Shells. And also I am creating commercials too. So you can have a commercial to promote you and your business. And you can also air it on my show for a few weeks. So yeah, that's the focus of Snails with No Shells right now. And I think that's it.
Okay. Regarding tonight, one of the things I would like to say is that one of the things about us as human beings is, as we get older, we grow more complicated. And you've been saying ever since we've been doing this, Marty, that things should be a whole lot simpler than they are, and we're growing complicated. And my philosophy about life is never take life very seriously until you have to, because there is too much that goes on between other people and dysfunction and everything else you can throw in that mix, that we shouldn't internalize the ways of this world. You have to inoculate yourself by not letting so much of what is in this world into you. And it's important that in a relationship, because when you let that mess into you, it's in your relationship. And you have to not take it so seriously until it's necessary, because it does come a time where you have to do what you have to do. But other than that, when you're in a different space and zone here, just push all that aside. Don't worry about it. Just have fun with the person you're with. Enjoy them as best you can.
Awesome. So share with us, Chef Latoya, Black Girl Tamales. We need to know what's in those tamales, because I don't think they really understand.
Okay, so first of all, I am the retired public school teacher at 40. I am one of those people. I benefited from the pandemic. The pandemic allowed me to walk away from teaching and focus on my concepts. My business is Black Girl Tamales. I am a Black girl and I make tamales. I grew up making tamales with my grandmother. And when I would go buy stuff for tamales, I always get that look, like they're looking at me, and it's like, yeah, I'm Black and I make tamales, because I know that's what y'all thinking. But I'm gonna go, oh no, that's exactly it. But okay, we'll leave it at that. So anyway, the story behind it, I do fusion tamales. So instead of that traditional chicken, pork, or beef tamale, I do a collard green and smoked turkey, smothered pork chops, smothered chicken, oxtail, crawfish etouffee, shrimp etouffee, gumbo, boudin, nacho, vegetarian. I have a vegan collard green and a vegan red beans and rice. As I said, there's many people that make tamales, but there is nobody doing what I'm doing. We were blessed to get the concept USDA and FDA certified, so we can shop it to stores, so we can get put in stores. So we just kind of working that, getting restaurants and stores and things like that. I'm just really living and serving in a purpose. As my shirt say, I fired my boss to chase my dreams. So that's really what happened. And it was one of those things, just blindly stepping out on faith, because again, I have a government contract, with the school district, guaranteed money, getting paid every 10th and the 25th, and that guarantee, and to walk away from that, and of course, especially my fellow teachers, what you gonna do? Well, I'm a chef before I became a teacher, so I'm gonna be okay either way it goes, whether I can teach or if I get back into the industry. So I'm a chef first, so I'm gonna always eat and do my thing. But the thing that is so amazing is just like really nobody's doing it, and when I tell people, when I start running the flavors, it's like, are we talking about tamales? And it's like,
right,
tamales and stuff, and it just creates the hype. Just the whole Black, because I'm in Houston, Texas. So the whole restaurant scene in Houston, Texas, they're loving the concept. So it's just one of those things, just really living, making the reality. And just to close out on tonight's topic, I was one of those people. I love love, like I mentioned before. I come from love. My parents have been together forever. Just seeing them, yeah, they had a drama and stuff, but for the most part, I've seen the dynamics of relationships. So I love love. And my goal was, I thought I was gonna build up everything with somebody, right? But instead, I had to build it up with my son, And so we just kind of doing our thing. So we're a mother-son team, building it up. Just from everything that we talked about tonight, man, communication is really the key. Like, I can't stress that enough. So many people get caught up on so many different things of misunderstanding things, like from one simple thing. And it's like, but if you take the time to really understand what someone's talking about, then, we're in that day and age where people are so quick to dismiss. The second you say one thing that they don't agree with, or you step outside the boundary, you don't hear from them again, or, they start falling back and they all of a sudden so busy, and things of that sort. And it's like, come on, Obama and Steve Harvey got time for Michelle and Margie. So you ain't doing nothing special. You just working and doing what you're supposed to be doing. So, but I greatly appreciate it, BJ. Thank you so much for spotlighting me. And thank you so much, Marty. And it was so great meeting you, Kevin, here in the Male's Perspective. So
Oh, it was great meeting you too.
Look forward to meeting you. Working with you guys again.
So now we got to get you on Snails with No Shells. We got to get you on there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will start. I'm going to start back shipping as soon as I get my labels, because like I said, we did get USDA manufactured, and they just like ran a mass batch for me. So it's just because I'm shopping it around. So because once I get pick up some places, then they'll start printing them out for me. So waiting for my labels to come. So I will be shipping them out. As I had agreed, as I agreed with some of my cohort, my networking groups, I will definitely send you guys tamales if you're willing to pay for the shipping and the shipping and handling. I'll definitely send you guys, because I have more than enough to, just to shop around and build the brand and awareness. So I will drop my email in the chat, so you guys are free to email me, and I will. Because I'm gonna start getting everything together, getting the pricing and everything with the shipping, and letting you guys know if you're interested.
Awesome. I knew you like that.
Yes.
All of the greens and everything. I'm like, ooh.
And I have to say, before we close out, my son told me I was tripping, but I told him that idea with the collard green tamales. It came from, I did a brunch for Mother's Day, and I had like a little bit of collard greens left, right? And so I told him, because I used to sell them in the summertime, where I'll roll out tamales, do the chicken and pork tamales. And I told him, I was like, son, I'm going to take this little bit of collard greens, I'm going to put in some tamales. And he was like, Mama, you tripping. And I was like, man, I was like, think about it. I was like, man, it's like cornbread and collard greens. And he was like, well, I mean, when you say it like that, okay, but Mama, I think, we just need to do what we're doing. We got a good thing going with our chicken and our pork tomorrow. We just need to keep rolling them and keep doing that. And I'm like, no, think about it. I was like, we in Texas, everybody make chicken and pork tamales. I was like, think about it. We do a collard green and smoked, like, ain't nobody doing nothing like that. I was like, I'm still going to do it. And he was like, well, Mama, whatever. I know you're going to do what you do. And it was like just a dozen, right? It was like a little bit just for a dozen. And I steamed them and I called him over. I was like, hey, come over and taste one. And he has been cooking with me since he's 3. He's 17 now. And like, he gets that look in his face right here. And like, his face just lit up. He's like, I thought I was tripping. Hey, let me get another one. And then when I started shopping around to my clients, giving them samples, like, hey, give me your feedback. Tell me what you think. And they was like, Chef, you got to put this on the menu. Like, man, collard greens, like, man, ain't nobody done no collard greens. Like, man, that's and then they good. That masa good. Like, yeah, you got to put this on the menu. And it's like, okay, cool stuff. And I came up with the concept when I was in grad school, and just really got serious about it, intentional. Build up the got the logo, DBA, kind of went through the steps of it. And then when the pandemic hit, we never went back to school, and it was like, that was it, and all that time just to sit there thinking about the idea. And that's when the other flavors started rolling in, the oxtail, the smothered chicken, the smothered pork chop, and all of those other flavors started coming along with it. And it just, it literally skyrocketed. And I never thought it was going to do what it was going to do. I never would have thought or imagined in life that it was going to take off the way that they took off. So I'm claiming it. The ladies done claimed I'm going to be a household name. So soon as
Right.
I'm claiming to get in all the stores. I'm working with a food broker. See if I can get me a broker to start brokering it for me, and just putting it out there. So I do appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. And trust me, it'll be a household name, because those those ingredients are just mouth watering and so close to home for so many people that cook. The pork chops and the greens and collard greens and cornbread, definite. So just so good, so good. I can't wait. Too bad I'm where I'm at because I'm like, dang, I wouldn't leave the country and now this, right? So make sure my brothers and sisters, they can get them.
Most definitely.
Yes, I'm in Atlanta, so
that's actually my market that I'm coming to because I used to live in Atlanta. I actually had my son when I was in Atlanta. I went to culinary school in Atlanta. So
okay.
I have very strong ties in Atlanta. So yeah, I got a lot of family, friends, and all of that. So yeah, Atlanta's definitely my market up there.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for being here tonight. Before we close out, we are going to share 2 of Miss BJ's videos so you get a sample of what she does, her work, beautiful job. Really love it. So here's the first one. Excellent job. And here's the second one.
Are you ready to be in the spotlight? Are you ready to share your story with the world? Well, Snails with No Shells is where you need to be. Available on all digital platforms, Facebook and YouTube. Snails with No Shells. Leave that shell at the door. Where did we go wrong? We were doing so
Awesome. So BJ, you got to give them a shout out. Where can they connect with you and be interviewed on your platform?
They can, I'm on Instagram. It's ms_Ms_ BJ Martin. They can hit me on Instagram. I'm on Facebook under BJ Martin. Instagram, Facebook. That's really it. They can DM me on Facebook. And like I said, it's ms_BJ Martin. And also they can email me at info at I am ms BJ Martin.
Awesome. So make sure you get connected. You can either be on the show, you can have the commercial made. Get out there and get your story, yourself out there, your business out there, and all that you do. Thank you for being here with us tonight. This is about Sweetheart Before I Say I Do. We are out. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember, this is date night, and it's still very, very early. We're out.
Take care.